Good morning. It's Brother Gerald, YouTube philosopher. And today's topic is philosophical foundations. Is there such thing as right and wrong? And I would just say that if I can arrive at an answer of 1 + 1 equaling 2, if I can mathematically calculate what is going to be necessary to put a rocket in orbit around the Earth, or even a mission to the moon, then I can actually build on these concepts of right and wrong and arrive at the same mathematical precision in terms of understanding. Now, the one problem that I see with a lot of atheists is that they want to have this relativistic view that there's no such thing as right and wrong. But the problem that I have with that is that there's a continuity to this world that transcends the life of each human being. So if there's a continuity, I even liken it to a relay race. You know, when the race is over for the first guy with the baton, the starter, he fires the gun, and now the race is on. So the race begins with the first guy, and he hands the baton off to the next guy, and then he hands the baton off to the next guy, and he hands the baton off to the fourth guy, and the last guy gets to the end of the race where they calculate the timeout. We see, as an observer that's not in the race, we're on the outside looking in. So we see this transition between the different participants running in the race, and we're able to evaluate all aspects of the race. And now with like modern technology like television cameras and high speed timing cameras, we can see if it turns out there was a race between several people and everybody's so close to the finish line, we can see whose body hit the plane of finish first. So those are the kinds of things that we're able to see on the outside looking in. And so too, I was born into this world, and I'm age 51, and I've seen a lot of people die. But my experience continues to be a continuity of events that I became aware of, I would say probably around the age of 3, maybe 4. I know for sure by 5, because I had a very traumatic experience at age 5 where one of my baby teeth, the molars in the rear, one of them came out, and I helped it come out. And when I actually helped it come out, a gush of blood came out along with the tooth. And that's kind of like one of my farthest recollections. But I do recall being in a clinic, and it might have even been as a baby, where I'm actually looking up and I see a fluorescent light, and I'm hearing noises like voices, but I guess because I don't know language, but I'm hearing these sounds. I can remember that, but that's moving away from the whole point of my telling this story. The whole story is that our perspectives may be relative to what we see and what we experience, and it may even be built upon a bias that we may have had. Like, I'd say most atheists in the West have a bias towards the God of the Bible. And the reason why they have a big bias toward the God of the Bible is because they listen to people who are hostile to the Bible's definition of terms, as well as purpose. But the ironic thing about these rebellions is that when you actually take what they're saying to its proper conclusion, you'll see the futility as well as the falseness of the view. Now, the one thing I'm going to say in terms of the West in proving this false view is that they believe in evolution. But here it is, we have this situation where on one hand they're saying that we've grown very intelligent. In fact, we call ourselves Homo sapiens sapien. We're the wisest of the wise. And I think that's a very proud and arrogant position to take. And the Bible defines pride as being an obstacle for true greatness and true wisdom, because there's a passage in the Bible where it talks about pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. And haughty just means proud spirit. So God is basically saying on a social level, pride will ultimately lead to your ruin. And on a personal spirit, or on a personal level, a haughty spirit, somebody who's so proud and full of themselves, they're going to go before a fall. They're going to fall. And we see how, like in the story of Samson, Samson was a very proud man. He was proud because he knew that there was no man stronger than him. But his pride dragged him off to do stupid things with his enemy, the Philistines. And ultimately, the Philistines captured him, humiliated him. But in his humility, he cried out to God. And God restored him to exercise vengeance upon those that wanted to destroy Samson, that wanted to dominate him. And so here we have a similar situation here in the West, where we see that our birth rate is not even equal to replacement values. So we have a nation that a lot of people say, well, it's post-industrial. I say, okay, well, post-industrial, what does that mean? It means that we are moving to a even greater level of technology and knowledge. But here it is, for all of this increase in knowledge and technological advancement, our nation is crumbling before our eyes because we refuse to acknowledge our true purpose in all dimensions. And I liken this to be like someone going to a doctor's office. And I go to the doctor's office from time to time. I went to the doctor's office not too long ago to have a splinter of metal taken out of my eye because I refused to wear goggles while cutting a piece of metal with a high-speed grinding cutting wheel. And the doctor was able to diagnose, but I had some other things going on, and I'm saying, well, Doc, I got some other things going on while I'm here. Why don't you help me figure this out? No, you're going to have to set up another appointment and come back for that. And I'm like laughing because I'm sitting there saying, well, no, I'm here now. Why can't we diagnose it now? And it just seems that we want to compartmentalize and make everything one dimensional. And this is, to me, the fallacy of the learning and the teaching in the West. We want to say that things have one particular purpose, but music has the purpose of soothing the savage beast. It can incite people to think in political terms. It can do more than just entertain. And for the clever ones that are engineering society, they utilize that as well as the news media, as well as the political systems, as well as the monetary systems to dominate and control. And I would say that for those that have controlled the money for the past maybe 700 years, they've had an issue with America. And so we've bought into acknowledging and recognizing things that are not true purposes, and now we're paying an awful price for it. Now, the ironic thing about my talking of purpose is that the Bible has a concept that if you're not willing to acknowledge your true purpose and you're willing to do what the Bible calls deviate from our true purpose, which is sin, which is not answering the question with the correct response. It's like saying 1 + 1 is 3. If you're willing to continue to cook the books, to say, no, the true purpose of sex is just, I'm having fun. No, there's another dimension to sex. Sex is representative of the relationship that man has with a woman, as representative of the relationship human beings in general have to God. We're supposed to be unified with God on an intimate basis. And once we get that intimate connection with God, the relationships that we have with one another will be predicated upon our proper connection with Him. And so we see this perversion of the woman, and we see the perversion of the relationship to where now everything is degenerating into pump and dump. The only value that men see in women is to pump them and dump them. So now we're answering the equation with the wrong answer, but it's only as a result of us answering these other equations wrong. We've cooked the books, and we failed to acknowledge these spiritual fixed realities. And I would say that mathematics is really our connection between the spirit realm and this physical realm. We can do a lot of things deviating from the correct answer in terms of moral truths, but we can't deviate when it comes to, navigating to another location using the compass and astrolabe and all of that. So I would just say, for the atheist that doesn't believe in God, I'm going to say that God is like that spectator, and you are running a race, and you're going to pass the baton to the next generation, and you're going to see a lot of people in the previous generations before yours die. Christopher Hitchens, he's dead and gone. And so you continue this race, but your perspective is only predicated upon the perspective of he who set the race up in the first place. And he who set the race up in the first place is going to be that which allows all of us to come in and all of us to go. So with that, I depart. And I really hope that this gets people to start thinking a little more clearly, so that we can get a blessing, because good things come when we do think clearly. But I would say conversely, when we think in error, terrible things will result as well. So peace to you all.